Hello. Bingo. For the time. City manager's report to change the next meeting date. 5/24. Got your whole family here. They all look good. Okay, y'all ready to rock and roll? Okay. Good evening and welcome to the Leon Valley City Council regular meeting. Today is Tuesday, May 21st, 2019. And we're so glad so many of you could join us not only in the chamber, but also live streaming on our website. So welcome to everyone. It is 6 o'clock, and we do have a quorum. All council members are present. And I've asked Councilor David Jordan to please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Jordan?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Just a few housekeeping rules before we begin this evening. If you could please silence your cell phones or turn them to vibrate. Secondly, if you really feel so motivated to talk to your neighbor, we would just respectfully ask that you go out into the foyer to talk. Again, we're trying to get a clean recording on the live stream, and so sometimes that does interfere. So thank you for that consideration. And then last but not least, our local rules do allow for citizen comment at any of the agenda items. So if you'll just please raise your hand and let me recognize you after the staff presentation and council discussion. We'll definitely want to hear from you. So thank you for that. All right, we move then to number 2, presentations. I'd like to introduce the Honorable Judge Lawrence Morales. Judge Morales, there he is. Yes, Judge Morales has been our municipal court judge for 37 years. Now, you think I've been here a long time. Judge, you beat me hand over fist. So we thank you, Judge, for being here. I don't know how many of you remember Mayor Ken Alley, but Mayor Alley had appointed you back in 1982, I think you said. 1982. Yes, and so we're so glad that you could be here to help us.
It only seemed like 5 years, Mayor, so.
Okay, it only feels like 5 years, yes. So Judge Morales will administer the oath of office, and there will be a presentation of the certificate of election to Council Member-elect Donna Charles, Place 1, Council Member-elect Monica Alcacer, Place 3, and Council Member-elect Will Bradshaw, Place 5. So if you would please join His Honor at the front, that would be wonderful. Thank you. Do we have the mic? Thank you.
Mayor, may I proceed?
You certainly may, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and ask all the city council members if you'll raise your right hand and then repeat after me. I, please state your name,
I, Donna Charles,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office of council place, take your place number in the city of Leon Valley,
the duties of the council place
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution
preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution
and the laws of the United States
and the laws of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Let me go ahead and present the certificate. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Okay. I'm not sure if we have a plaque for the outgoing council members. It's the next on the agenda item, so.
Right here?
Okay, very good. I didn't. Thank you. Let me go down and get that.
Get your signatures. Get your signature on yours. Sign here.
Test it. There we go. All right. Counselor Edwards, our sincere appreciation for your 4 years of service as counselor for Place 1. We thank you for all of your efforts, your input, and your dedication, and we wish you the best. And on a small token of our appreciation is this clock with the inscription, David Edwards, Council, Place 1, with sincere appreciation, 2015 to 2019. So let's show Councilor David Edwards our appreciation. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you to the people of Leon Valley for letting me have the opportunity to serve for these 4 years. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. Thank you. All right. Well, Counselor Jordan, David Jordan, if you'll come down, please. Thank you. Counselor Jordan, again, our sincere appreciation and for your dedication and effort over the last 4 years here as counselor for Place 5. We thank you very much. And we have a small token of our appreciation, this clock that says David Jordan, Council, Place 5, with sincere appreciation, 2015 to 2019. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you. It's been an honor and a privilege to serve the citizens of Leon Valley. When I came here 4 years ago, I was determined to serve with integrity, excellence, and commitment, and that's what I've done. So as I leave here today, I leave it all on the field, and I serve with integrity, commitment, and excellence, and I wish everyone well. God bless you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. All right. So at this time, we're going to a recess at 9 minutes after 6, and we'll have a short reception outside in the foyer to honor our outgoing counselors, Edwards and Jordan, and also welcome our new counselors, Counselor Donna Charles, re-elect Counselor Alcacer, and Counselor Bradshaw. So please join us outside, and we'll take about a 15-minute reception. Thank you. So we are adjourned. In recess. Place on the dais, please. We'll begin in just about a minute or so. Thank you. I hate to break up the party. Yes, there you go. You're organized.
Well, I was Friday.
Oh, wow. Why does this not surprise me?
This is woman power in this Watch House Trust.
Oh, wow.
You change, oops. You change.
Sorry, guys.
Wait for Mr. Bradshaw. Okay, very good. It is now 6:29 on Tuesday, May 21st, and we have reconvened from our reception. Thank you again to Ms. Posley and all of her team for putting together the reception for our newly elected council and our outgoing councilors. So we appreciate that. Thank you. Yes. Okay. As you can see, we have quite a number of presentations this evening under agenda number 5. And the first presentation is a Good Neighbor Award to Mr. Henry Deeker. And Mr. Deeker and Tony, could you come forward, please? Thank you. All right. We'll turn and face the audience here. Okay. A Good Neighbor Award presented to Mr. Henry Deeker.
Mayor Riley,
Yes.
Mayor Riley, if you step back, we can get you on the
Okay.
camera.
All right. That's right. Thank you, because we're on camera. I keep forgetting that. All right. Smile. Okay. In recognition of outstanding public service, determination, and perseverance, which enabled the City of Leon Valley to receive special pedestrian sidewalks, we thank you for your hard work and cheerful willingness and assistance with the red light camera program bill. We sincerely appreciate your determination, commitment, as well as your continued support. Signed by my hand this 21st day of May, 2019, Mayor Chris Riley. Let's give Mr. Deeker a round of applause, and we're going to tell you a little bit more about this Good Neighbor Award. All right, so I'm going to let you explain it because Mr. Deeker is a man of, like we say, determination, and he doesn't let anything just lay low. He just keeps working at it, and he's been very successful along Bandera Road with some great pedestrian improvements. So if you'll please explain it.
Thank you. As you know, my name is Henry Deeker, and I'm also an advocate for accessibility. Obviously, accessibility is very important to us. So it's really been a collaborative effort with TxDOT as well as the City of Leon Valley. Chief Salvaggio as well as Lieutenant Anderson have had a hand in it as well. And it's taken 5 years, but in the 5 years' time, we've just recently had installed auditory signals at both Grissom Road and at Seneca Road and Bandera. And they're the latest technology because they work with a beacon which lets us know where they're at. And we have more time now. And then the other projects that we're including the sidewalks just so that anyone traveling, any of our citizens, when we're traveling north or south on the east side of Bandera Road in front of Walgreens, we no longer have to cross 100 feet of parking lot where it's a little bit risky. And as I walk almost every day on Bandera Road, I see more and more of our citizens that are out there that are using canes and walkers and mobility carts. And again, accessibility for one is accessibility for all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now we have something else for you as well. Let me give you this award.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Deeker, here we go. Oop, 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 oop. Back. We got something else for you. Look at this. I don't want to break it or drop it, but it's a beautiful. It's got the seal of the City of Leon Valley. It says Henry Deeker, in recognition of outstanding public service, determination, and perseverance to the City of Leon Valley for your projects that have increased the quality of life for all citizens to enjoy. And we have May 7th, 2019 inscribed on it. It's kind of hard to read, but this is for you. So thank you. And then we didn't even mention the red light cameras, but you went up and you lobbied for the red light camera bill. Would you like to talk about that?
Well, I'm a really big believer in our red light cameras. If you might have heard me say this before, but I walk up to Planet Fitness from Seneca like 4 days a week, and one of the biggest threats to us is drivers who don't stop at red lights when they make right turns. I used to encounter close calls on almost a weekly basis. Now it's once a month. Cars in the pedestrian walks, much less. And so I was privileged to be invited to speak in Austin to tell some of the truth about our red light cameras, is that they not only increase public safety for our drivers, but also for our pedestrians on our crosswalks as well as our sidewalks.
Thank you again for your efforts and for setting the example for all of us. Thank you, Mr. Deeker. All right. So let me give that back to you. And I don't see the next two employees on here. That's what I understand.
Oh, and my guy's name is Tony. one of our local citizens that I've harassed when your car has been in the crosswalk, I'm not sorry, but but I am really friendly.
Thank you. We move then to presentation 2 and 3. These were certificates of appreciation for long-term service here in our Public Works Department. And unfortunately, Fernando Trevino and Armando Martinez are not able to be here this evening. So I've spoken with Melinda Mortz, our Public Works Director, and we'll try to put that on a future agenda item. So we move then to presentation number 4, presentation of a proclamation declaring the week of May 19th to May 25th, 2019 as National Public Works Week. And so Melinda Mortz, and if you have any of your staff, Yvonne, please come on up. Anyone else from Public Works that's here? Dave Demeline, yes. And let me read this and then present this proclamation. Thank you. So this might help? Okay. Oh, I need this again. That's right. Dave, there you go. Great. And this is Dave Demeline, our Assistant Public Works Director, and Yvonne Acuna, who keeps them both in line. That's correct. Yeah. Okay. City of Leon Valley, that's the truth, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. City of Leon Valley, Texas proclamation. Whereas public works services provided in our community are an integral part of our citizens' everyday lives. And whereas the support of an understanding and informed citizenry is vital to the efficient operation of public works systems and programs such as stormwater, sewer, streets and highways, public buildings, and parks. And whereas the health, safety, and comfort of this community greatly depends on these facilities and services. And whereas the quality and effectiveness of these facilities, as well as their planning, design, and construction, is vitally dependent upon the efforts and skill of public works officials. And whereas the efficiency of the qualified and dedicated personnel who staff public works departments is materially influenced by the citizens' attitudes and understanding of the importance of the work they perform. Now therefore I, Chris Riley, Mayor of the City of Leon Valley, Texas, do hereby proclaim the week of May 19th, 2019 to May 25th, 2019 as National Public Works Week in the City of Leon Valley, and I call upon all citizens and civic organizations to acquaint themselves with the issues involved in providing our public works and to recognize the contribution which public works officials make every day to our health, safety, comfort, and quality of life. Given under my hand and the seal of the City of Leon Valley, this 21st day of May, 2019, Mayor Chris Riley. Let's show our appreciation to our Public Works Department. They're awesome. Thank you. We'll take a picture. And please, you always answer questions for everybody. I know that. You're very accessible. Everybody is, but I always hear good things about Public Works.
Well, thank you very much.
Oh, you have a little...
I just wanted to first let me say I have the honor and the privilege of working with a dedicated group of people in our Public Works Department, our city manager, our mayor and city council, and the 11,000 or so wonderful citizens of Leon Valley who call us lots. Public Works affects us all. From the time we get up in the morning to the time we finally go to bed, some aspect of a public work affects our lives. You want coffee in the morning? It requires water from our superior rated water system. We just got that designation. Take a shower, brush your teeth, flush the toilet. That's the water and sewer mains that are maintained by our utility crews. Driving to work, roads, bridges, sidewalks, crosswalks, and traffic signals maintained by our construction crew, one of which is retiring, Fernando. Taking the kids to the park, it's maintained and improved by our parks and right-of-way crew. If you pay a bill or visit City Hall, that's also maintained by the maintenance crew. Flooding disasters, we're out there every time cleaning it up. Our public works crews work 24/7 to keep our community safe and our everyday lives running as smoothly as we can. Through these dedicated employees, the city's mission of planning for, constructing, operating, maintaining, and repairing the city's infrastructure is accomplished. Our goal at our department is to provide the highest quality public works services to the public and the other city departments, and to provide these services in a responsible and efficient manner. This would not be possible without the dedication our crews provide every day to our city and the commitment to our department shown by the City Council. We thank each and every one of you, and we stand, as always, ready to be of service to our community.
I was just thinking of another big thing y'all do, events. 4th of July, Earthwise, I mean, any event, they are there, setting up, tearing down, cleaning up after the Easter. I was over there and it was a mess, but y'all were there with smiles on your faces, cleaning up the park. So thank you. There's a lot more you do, but thank you so much.
Thank you.
All
I
righty,
appreciate
you bet.
it.
Thank you. All right. Is that it for these? Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Presentation number 5. Presentation of the Library Board of Trustees Annual Report. We have Heather Haskin, Library Board of Trustee Chair, the Leon Valley Library Board of Trustee Chair here this evening to present. And so good to see you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you
and we
for
look forward to
having
your
me.
report.
Yes, I'm glad to be here to give this annual report, and I'm glad to have our Library Director, Sandy Underwood, and Assistant Library Director, Teresa Brader, and we also have Carol Poss from the Trustees Board that's here as well.
Good. Okay.
So, just an introduction to our board. It's 7 members with 2 trustees. We meet on the second Thursday of each month in the library, and each member has we have 2-year alternating terms, and our capacity is as advisors to the library. This presentation will be brief. I'm going to talk about things that we've done over the last year and things that we're trying to move towards. So as an actual committee, over the last several years, we've been trying to get our procedures and documentation to be correct and the right way. So during this last year, we really cleaned up our minutes, and thank you to the city secretary for helping us with that formatting. And then the trustees also helped plan an appreciation event for our volunteers, of which they gave over 1,400 hours of service this past year. We are very blessed with incredible volunteers, and we hold that event every April during Volunteer Week. Now, the library itself, you may remember at the presentation last year, we had talked about the need to upgrade our wiring, and specifically that our beautiful children's wing did not have Wi-Fi access, which was just crazy. But we are happy to report that, that took place last year, which I'm sure you already know, but that was one of the biggest things this year, was upgrading that wiring. Also, you're probably aware of these awards that we're very proud of. For several years in a row now, the library has received the Texas Municipal Library Directors Association Excellence in Library Service Award. And then the second award we're also proud of because it is voted on by the community members of Northwest San Antonio, and they voted our library as the most loved library in Northwest San Antonio. At each of our trustee meetings, we review stats for the library over the last month, and we compare those to the previous month and to the same month of the previous year. And these were some of the trends that we wanted to share. And that is that our program attendance has risen by 59%. We have awesome attendance. The library does wonderful events, and people come. Then, due to the library being open 7 days a week, and you'll see this huge number for our Facebook reaches, how much they've increased. Because of those, our door traffic is increasing, and even circulation of print materials. People are not just coming for the activities and the events, they're checking things out.
Right.
And then moving forward, we will be working on a new strategic plan for the library. When we created the last one in 2016, we held public meetings to gain the input of the community and what they want to see with their library, and we'll be doing that again. And then, as you saw in those statistics of how busy the library is, we're hoping to add another employee to another 20-hour-a-week employee to the library.
Okay, very good.
Any questions?
All right, thank you. Are there any questions for Ms. Haskin this evening on the library board annual report? Well, we thank you and all of your board for your efforts, because we have one of the 3 libraries in the county for suburban cities, and so we stand out. Not very many suburban cities have a library, and we've had it for, Ms. Poss, 50 years or something. I mean,
At the 40th anniversary, was it?
43? 40. Okay, 40, yes. And if those of you that have lived here as long as I've lived here, it used to be across the street in that little building right on the corner of Poss and Evers. That was our library for many, many years before we built the library. So we've seen a tremendous growth. And I love the library. And so thank you for being open 7 days a week, too. I think that's been a tremendous improvement as well. So anything else? All right. Thank you, Heather. Do appreciate it. All right. Next, we have our monthly presentation and discussion of the financial report, April 2019, and we have Ashley Wayman here, our Assistant Finance Director. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. All right, so we will do our April monthly financial report, starting with our general fund. Our sales taxes are looking pretty good this month. We're actually up 6.57%. Again, this is 2 months behind, so this is the month of February sales tax. So we're up 6.57, and we've already received May's sales tax when we're up 2.8% as of May. So kind of evening out. Sometimes we have some really good months, but still good all around. So we're happy about those numbers. Other than that, in our revenues, everything is looking good. Our license permits, fines, and fees came out to about $2.865 million. Of that, 56% is red light camera, just kind of to keep that in mind, since those are not necessarily straight revenues. And other than that, our expenditures are all on track in this fund. If y'all have any other questions.
Would you remind us about the miscellaneous again? I know every month you...
Right, that's things like interest and stuff like that. And right now, that's the biggest thing in our miscellaneous. Interest is very, very far up this month, or this year, kind of all over the state. So our interest is doing well there. So that's mainly actually what's in our miscellaneous.
Okay, very good. So the license, permits, fees, and fine has the red light camera money. Does it also have the impound money?
It does.
Okay, so both of those in
the
there.
impound is 7% of that total
7%,
amount. So.
and the red light cameras is
56%.
6%.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to our water and sewer fund. Our water and sales are up this month. Actually, pretty good numbers considering how much rain we've been having. So we're happy about those. Everything else seems to be on track in that department. Again, our tapping fees are pretty high with all the new development, which is good. And our expenditures seem to be on track. For our community center fund, our hotel motel taxes came in at this month. This would be the next quarter we receive them. And we're about where we were at last year, so those are looking pretty good. As far as our rental fees are going, they're doing outstanding, for the time of year. We do have to keep in mind, though, the church rentals are in there. So without those, they wouldn't be quite as high as they are. So we just need to keep that in mind.
We still have another church that's renting the building? I thought
no,
they had...
this is still from the last one.
That
but
okay.
That was a big reason why they're up to 95% and 78%.
Right.
They'd be about 56% without.
Okay.
So we'd be right on, kind of on budget with those.
Okay.
And our expenditures are also on track in that fund. For our economic and community development, again, this is in the general fund, but it's just broken out here in detail so you can see it a little better. Sales tax is in the same boat, 2 months behind, also up 6.57%. As far as our expenditures go, everything seems to be about on track. Our supplies is mostly still Fiesta metals. That's kind of the biggest part of supplies. And as far as contractual goes, 10,891 of that is our ED project funding. So right now what's in there is the 9,691 to office furniture liquidation. And then from April, another 1,200 for Amiga Cafe.
Okay, I know we're about ready to get some additional funding from a lawsuit that we had that's been settled since 2011. And so we will be getting, and maybe, will that show up at the next budget report? Because we have the money that we set aside, plus we had the bond. So I don't know, about $400 and some odd $1,000.
It just depends on when is the next budget report, because there's
It would be-
information I have to send to the court, and I don't know how long it'll take the court to give us the money back, so.
Right.
Okay.
I guess, yeah, depending on whenever we get the entry in, kind of if it may fall right at the end, or if it falls in the next month, it may not show up.
Yeah,
'cause-
I just wanted the citizens to know that we'll have a huge infusion of money based on just what's transpired over the last 72,000 is
She's
the
talking
bond.
about the bond. I think, are you talking about the
I'm
money
talking
that was
about the
300,000?
72,000 bond, and then we have 350,000 that we set aside,
We
just in
have
case we had to pay.
315.
15.
That's right.
okay.
And then the bond was 79,000.
Oh, 79.
And that's what the
okay.
city attorney is working on right now.
Okay.
The other is easy to move over.
Yeah, and we just heard from the Supreme Court, and they, shut the case down,
Clear.
so we should be able to move that money over. But I just want to let the citizens know that case after 2011 has been settled.
Right.
Which is great.
We'll definitely have some more news on that
Okay,
next
thank
month.
you, I
for
appreciate
sure.
that.
All right, our red light cameras. Our red light camera fines came in at $1,498,000, and our late fees and fines are obviously far over budget. Just so we were being pretty conservative budgeting those. Our expenditures in Tier 1, which is what we account for and report to the state, are all on track. They're all well under, the percentage for the year. And our Tier 2 expenditures are also in the 40% or so. Supplies are a little bit over, but as long as the bottom line ends up under, we're okay. So they're watching that, and we'll make sure that nothing gets too out of hand in supplies. But other than that, our capital projects are almost all complete. There's a couple more that are still outstanding. Right now we have the Jaws of Life that are purchased, a couple new vehicles, and they're working on the crosswalk things for Huebner and Balke, and then also in-car camera systems.
Good, okay.
So,
All right, very good. Thank you.
and finally, our impound lot. Everything in this fund seems to be doing very well, on track. Our impound lot fees came in at $140,000. That's about 63% of budgeted revenue, so we're on track there. Same with our auctions, and our expenditures all seem to be on track in this fund as well.
Okay. So the difference between the revenues and the expenditures is the surplus in that.
Correct. It will go to the general fund. It's just
It'll go to the general
money.
fund.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So just as always, this and other reports can be found on our website at Departments, Finance, and Financial Transparency.
Very good. Any questions? Yes, Councilor Martinez.
Back on the first slide. Yeah, is there any way we could get the license permits on one line and then the fees and fines on a separate line? I think it'd be easier for us to see, especially with the license and permits, being completely separate from the fees and fines.
I can look and see how Encode currently breaks it up. Right now, they're all just lumped into one, so we'd have to go through and decide what's going to be considered each. But I can look at them and see if there's a way we can get that to be a little more clear. And if not, I do have all the numbers for at least the main parts of the license permits, fees, and fines, if y'all want to have those.
I do have one other question in regards to the check register.
Okay.
There was some listings for discovery benefits, healthcare benefits, and Qual's third party. What are those they having to do with our health insurance, or?
So Discovery Benefits is our COBRA. We pay an administrative, I think it's like $66 in administrative fees, but if somebody elected COBRA, then we pay it out of our 129 fund. They cut Discovery Benefits a check, and then they fund us that check, and then we put it back in the 129. So it's a wash, but we do pay a $66 monthly fee for them to administer our COBRA account. That's what
Okay.
Discovery Benefits is. What was the other one?
Healthcare benefits?
Healthcare benefits? That's probably Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Now, there
That's
was a
their-
separate item for Blue Cross in here.
I think their name on the register is healthcare.
Yeah, it may be the dental portion of the healthcare. I can go back and look, but it's probably Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Okay, and then the AVIS, AVEIS?
That's our vision.
Huh?
That's our vision
Okay.
program.
Okay.
Avisis is our vision, and that's also a wash. The employees put, we take it out of their check, we put it into the account, and then we write the check out. So,
Thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other questions for Ms. Wayman, either from our counselor or from our citizens in the chambers? Okay. Seeing no one else, we'll say thank you.
Thank you so much.
And have a good weekend. All righty. All right, moving then to agenda item presentation number 7, presentation and discussion on impounding vehicles as junked vehicles for expired vehicle registration. We have Chief Joe Savaggio here this evening to present this discussion. This was requested at the last meeting when we had citizen to be heard, Mr. Diaz, and he's here this evening as well, that had asked that we look into this and have a discussion. So thank
Yes,
you,
ma'am.
we appreciate it.
Mayor, Council,
And
thank
welcome.
you. So purpose, background, these are all the things we're going to discuss in this presentation. It's not anything that we're going to vote on or anything today. It was more just a discussion specifically about the impounding of vehicles for registration being expired. So police department received a complaint from citizens to be heard on a vehicle that was illegally towed. It had a expired December 2018 registration sticker. The vehicle was towed after 24 hours, which is what our code allows, and it's been in the code. I'm not sure exactly when it was put in the code, but it predates me. I know that. And the owner of the vehicle removed the warning from the window, and it was still there a little bit over 24 hours later when it was towed from the street. So our citizen asked that the council consider removing the expired registration from the definition of junk and abandoned vehicles. So this presentation is specifically about whether the registration can be, if there's anything we can do at our level in this local municipality to take that out or change it. And that's the focus of this. So, did I hit more than one? Okay. What's it doing here? So our law, when you pull up the Texas Transportation Code, it has the same thing that we have in ours, and you'll notice, and I'll put them side by side in a second, that it's word for word. So whoever created this ordinance back when it was first created defined the junk vehicle as a motor vehicle, aircraft, or watercraft. The subchapter applies only to, and there was a motor vehicle that displays an expired license plate or does not display a license plate. There are other things, but since this is what we were asked to look at today, I didn't go into any other stuff except the definition and it's being in state law. So as you can see, ours is exactly the same. We just, some point along the way, we adopted the state law into our ordinances and then actually made it a little bit more on other things, a little bit more stringent than state law, which whenever it occurred, the city has the right to do that. We can't make it less stringent. So as you can see in ours, it's the exact same thing. A motor vehicle displays expired license plate or does not display a license plate. So here they are side by side, Texas state law and the Leon Valley ordinance, word for word. Again, we cannot reduce the requirement. So because state law sets this as the requirement, we can make it more stringent, but we can't reduce the requirement. And that's actually in the Texas Constitution, Article 11, Section 5. Adoption or amendment of charter is subject to such limitations as may be prescribed by the legislature, and no charter or any ordinance passed under said charter shall contain any provision inconsistent with the Constitution of the state or the general laws enacted by the legislature of this state. So even when we were a general law city, we could make our own laws that were within the law that the state had, and we could make them more stringent. We can't make them less stringent. And so that doesn't change just because we're now home rule. It stays the same because of the Constitution says that we can't do anything that's inconsistent with the laws that are passed by the legislatures. So in other words, home rule or general law cities, it really doesn't matter. May do anything authorized by its charter except what is specifically prohibited or preempted by the Constitution or the state or federal laws. And so when you look at only the things we were asked to look at, whether or not expired registration can be pulled from the definition of junk vehicle, the answer is no, you can't. We can't, but there are some that can. So we've really are preempted from changing that at this time. But who can? This is a state legislature issue, and if the state legislature wants to take this up, and I had a great conversation with our citizen after the meeting, and I showed him the laws and the same thing, and he fully understands, and he plans on taking this up with the state. So until such time as the state changes it, we cannot remove the expired registration from the law. So any questions for me, ma'am?
Okay. Yes, Counselor Bradshaw, you can go ahead and
First
start the
question.
conversation. Yes, that's right. I was like,
Thank you,
okay.
Chief, for your presentation. I looked at the agenda when it was sent out before the meeting, and I'm having a little bit of difficulty comparing the state statute versus Leon Valley statute. And I actually asked if Crystal could pull up the Leon Valley statute, the Article 8.008 from the Leon Valley junked vehicles.
It's right there.
It was up there.
You got it?
Yeah.
We're there.
Mhm.
Sorry, 8.08. Okay, yeah, so definitions. So I agree with you. On this part, right under 1A, a vehicle, it says junk, we're talking about junked vehicles, right? A vehicle that is self-propelled, and B, is wrecked, dismantled, partly dismantled or discarded, or a motor vehicle that displays an expired license plate or does not display a license plate, or a motor vehicle that is inoperable and has remained inoperable before then, and then we have our dates. So then down in number 2, it says, for the purposes of this article, junked vehicle includes motor vehicle, aircraft, or watercraft. This article applies only to a motor vehicle that displays an expired license plate. So it says it again twice. So the difference, if you look at ours, and then if you could switch over to the State of Texas Transportation Code. So the difference here in subchapter E, I know it's hard to read.
Very.
Yes.
Where is that one?
You got to go down
Okay.
683.071.
It's not in your packet, ma'am.
Okay, I didn't see
sorry.
it,
Don't
so
worry.
that's
It's not in
okay.
your packet.
If you look at 683.071, keep going down a little bit. It's probably near 3/4 way down. Yeah. Oh, there it is. I just saw it.
071,
Oh,
okay.
yeah, 0.071.
Okay.
Junked vehicle, right? How come I don't see? Oh, sorry, it's right at the top. Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, so on this one, it says definition and applicability. Applicability, right? In this subchapter, junked vehicle means that, one, it's self-propelled. So I had asked a coworker, what does that mean, self-propelled? But basically, it's not a trailer, right?
It's got a motor.
It's got a motor, okay? So it's self-propelled. And 2 is wrecked, dismantled, or partially dismantled and discarded, or inoperable and is remained inoperable for more than, and like you said, ours is a little different because they say 72 consecutive hours and 30 consecutive days. I think ours is 24 hours or 20 days.
Correct.
Okay. So that's the definition of a junked vehicle according to state law.
No, look at B.
So B, for purposes of the subchapter, a junked vehicle includes a motor vehicle, aircraft, or watercraft. So, I mean, if you're going to take that, you say, okay, any motor vehicle, aircraft, or watercraft would be a junk vehicle, if you take B.
But B,
this subchapter applies to, okay, motor vehicle that displays an expired license plate or does not display a license plate. So it's both of these things to be a junked vehicle, right? Because look at the definition. Again, definition, the very title of it, definition and applicability. So the first section, A, is the definition of a junked vehicle. B is applicability. What does it apply to? It applies to junked vehicles that are a vehicle that is a watercraft, motor vehicle, aircraft, or watercraft, and has an expired license plate.
I'm sorry, I'm not following. I mean, I think we're saying the same thing.
Well, no, what I'm saying is you cannot tow a vehicle. You cannot say it's a junk vehicle just for the fact that the registration's expired, according to state law.
Okay.
I mean, I know Leon Valley law, the way it's written right now.
I've been doing this for 32 years, and it's always been that way in San Antonio and anywhere else in the state. But what I'll tell you, you're misinterpreting it, sir. I wish we could have talked about this offline before we got in here. You know, those things up top are the 72 consecutive hours or 30 consecutive days,
Right.
and it has an expired registration sticker. We can tow it. But there's also other things that are not even being considered that we have to do
I
as
agree
far
with
as
you.
notices and things like that.
I agree with you. Wrecked, dismantled, or partially dismantled, or if it's inoperable for 72 hours or 30 consecutive days, I agree with you, and it has an expired registration sticker.
Correct.
Not or, right?
Mayor and Council, yes, Mr. Bradshaw, you are interpreting this incorrectly.
Okay.
Where it says this subchapter applies only to, one, a motor vehicle that displays an expired license plate and does not display, that's not and, it's, the and is at the top where it says, is self-propelled and is wrecked,
Okay,
et cetera, et cetera. And for purposes of this subchapter, the junk vehicle includes a motor vehicle, and the subchapter applies only to a motor vehicle that displays an expired plate. So it doesn't have anything in there that says, and to separate applicability
Okay,
from junk
it says it
vehicle.
right under section 683.071, definition and applicability. There's your and right there. The first section is the definition, the second section is applicability.
So I'm not sure where we're going, but as far as the city's ordinance, we may be more strict than the state statute, but we are following the state statute as far as the definition of a junk vehicle, and for purposes of whether or not a car with an expired plate is a junk vehicle.
So just so I'm clear, sorry. So you're saying, same with the chief, that the state's definition of a junked vehicle is that it has an expired tag?
Yes.
But it's not just that.
It's not just that, it's more.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying it's not just that.
No, we agree with you. I agree wholeheartedly. You got to look at the first part. It also has to be inoperable and remains inoperable for more than 72 consecutive hours or 30 consecutive days. So if a vehicle remains inoperable for that time period and it's partially wrecked, dismantled, blah, 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 or has an expired registration, then the vehicle can be towed.
See, if you read further, you'll see that junk vehicle includes a motor vehicle, aircraft, and watercraft. The subchapter applies to a motor vehicle, and then it goes down to a watercraft, and how that watercraft is a junk vehicle, how the motor vehicle is a junk vehicle. And it tells you or a watercraft that does not have lawfully on board an expired certificate of number and is not a watercraft described by section 31.055 of the Parks and Wildlife Code. So it does say here that the junk vehicle includes the motor vehicle, and it tells you how it includes the motor vehicle, and it tells you how it includes a watercraft.
Okay, so, let me reset real quick. So you showed earlier that we cannot change this statute because it's a state law, right? We cannot change our law.
We can make it more restricted. We can't make it less restricted.
Okay, so City of Austin, Texas, junk vehicle abatement program. Junked nuanced vehicles on private property must be visibly inoperable and have expired registration inspection stickers. Dallas City Code. junked vehicles inoperative and does not have lawfully affixed to it either an expired license plate or a valid motor vehicle safety inspection sticker. No, what the difference is that we're towing vehicles, and we're impounding vehicles that are perfectly operable, that are not junk vehicles, they just have expired tags.
And that's the law, sir.
That is not the law. That is not the law. I will debate this all day. Austin, Dallas, Fort Worth, San Antonio, Houston are all have that in their ordinances, that it's and. You have to have both to tow a vehicle.
We're agreeing with you. I don't know what we're arguing about. No,
that's not what Denise
it's not
said.
just the fact that you have an expired vehicle with an expired registration on the road.
Mr. Diaz's
It has
vehicle that was
to-
towed?
It has to.
Hang on just a
Excuse me,
second. We can
just-
only have one person talking.
Can I just address? I'm
Yes.
sorry, Mayor.
One
Can
person talking.
A vehicle that has an expired plate or registration is inoperable. You can't operate
That
that
is not the
vehicle.
definition of inoperable.
Well,
No.
yes, it
According to the
is.
state, it
According
is.
to the state.
Well,
According to
all
the
right.
state.
Hang on just a second, because I'm,
Councilman Bradshaw, we're in agreement, whether you believe it or not.
It doesn't sound like it.
Okay, let me finish. We're in agreement 100%, sir, that there's not just the fact that it sits there with an expired registration. Just if somebody pulls up in their vehicle with an expired registration, gets out of their vehicle, goes inside the house, we have no right to tow that vehicle. That vehicle has to be sitting on that road for more than, according to ours, 24 hours, or in a yard for more than 20 days. That's exactly what you read from all those other places. So it's not just the fact that it's inoperable or has an expired registration. It is those facts coupled with the fact that it received notice and then did not abate the problem. So our law is exactly what you just read. I'm not understanding what you're.
This is from City of San Antonio Code of Ordinances. Inoperable means a vehicle that is in such condition at the time of inspection that is no longer usable for the purpose for which it is manufactured, regardless of the potential for repair or restoration. So their definition of inoperable.
That's San Antonio's definition. They're allowed to have their own definition. They're allowed to write whatever definition they want to in their code.
That's not what the chief said earlier. We can't have anything that's different than the state code.
No. What he's saying and what I said what we said in the slide presentation is that you can't preempt state law.
Correct.
It constitutes the minimum of what you can have in your ordinance. We may go beyond that, okay? So we have gone beyond that in the amount of time that it can be sitting someplace, the car. We can make our own definition of what inoperable is unless the state has already said what the definition of inoperable is. I haven't seen the definition in the state law of where it gives a definition of inoperable. So if the state law doesn't say what inoperable is, any city in their code of ordinances can define what inoperable is, and San Antonio did that. I don't think that we do that in our code of ordinances. That's all I'm trying to say.
could do that. Okay. Yes, I know we've got other counselors that want to speak, so let me let Counselor Alcacer take the floor now. Yes.
Some technicalities since he's playing. Technicalities since he's playing with technicalities. Definitions and applicability that you're reading from. The first part, A, is definition. The second part, B, is applicability. It's very clear on its face. And then just a minor, not to argue with you, but when you read the one from Austin, it said on private property, and we were not taking them from private property. And anyway, I think we've argued it enough. It seems inappropriate to keep it, from my opinion, to keep arguing.
All right. Anyone else on the dais want to say anything on this? I guess I just want to address Mr. Diaz's concerns because he's here this evening, and I have Mr. Ortiz as well. Mr. Diaz had asked at the last meeting, can you give a citation rather than towing the vehicle? And what was your answer, Chief? I just wanted to.
No, we can't ticket the car as it sits there. There's no state law, and city ordinances are given to specific people. So we're not going to just leave it out there for them. That's not in any of our laws or any of the state laws that I know of. I know San Antonio, it's not in there. It is, we give a notice, that's what it requires. On this one, we gave a notice, put the big sticker on there, it's a big orange sticker. Check the box that says 24 hours. If it had been in the yard, we'd have checked the box that says you have 20 days to abate it, and then that clock starts. And so, no, we can't just ticket the vehicle. That's not an option that we have in state law or our ordinances.
Okay, so if we went to the state legislature for a change, what would that change be?
Well, according to what we're here to talk about today, would be removing the registration or license plate missing from the definition
Junk
for
vehicle.
state junk vehicles.
Okay, just
Because-
separate it out.
Correct. Well, I
Okay.
mean, what was being asked initially is, this is, and I'm kind of, to say that it can't be a junk vehicle if it's 2 years, 3 years, 4 years old. I mean, we auction vehicles off all the time without engines in them, and they're less than 5 years old. And so, I mean, it does happen. We wouldn't know that. Our guys are not driving the vehicle. We don't know whether it's operable or not. All we know is that the vehicle's there it's not supposed to be driven because it doesn't have a registration, so it's not supposed to be driven. And so that's all our guys know for a fact. Anything else of that would be assuming, and we can't. The law doesn't allow us to do that. It just says specifically you have a vehicle that is got an expired registration, and it is considered by law inoperable, and we start the process based on that.
Okay, could we add a definition to our ordinance of inoperable?
We have that, ma'am. We have a definition. That's what we talked about. Can you go
Okay.
back?
Of inoperable, I thought.
Yes, but our definition is exactly with the states, so we
Okay.
can't remove.
We can't change it and
Can't
put it in our
remove
own term, or own words, or whatever. It has to stay with the state.
Well, no, we could add it
I
to
had
be
heard-
more restrictive. What we can't remove is, and that's what we're here to talk about, is removing the registration from the definition of inoperable. Because it's in the state law definition, our definition can't be there any different. We could be more restrictive. I don't know how we could be on this one, but for instance, the 24 hours that is in our ordinance, and what Councilman Bradshaw talked about was 72 hours for the state. So it's 30 days for the state. We've gone into 20 days with a 10-day extension allowed if they ask for it. So it's still 30 days. But those types of things, we've made it more restrictive. But as far as removing the definition, which what we were here to talk about tonight, we can't do that.
Okay. All right. So I'll give you a
Sorry.
few more time, and then I'd like to hear from anyone in our
I just would
in our
like to maintain
chambers.
that I, as well as the city of San Antonio, Austin, Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, and Wayland, Texas, are right, and the city of Leon Valley is incorrect in its understanding of the ordinance. That's my,
All right.
what I
That's your
believe.
Your belief, yes, sir. Mr. Martinez, did you have something before I opened it up for any questions from our chambers?
If I understand from what I've heard before the election, some of the citizens were kind of mad that the police were going into people's driveways at 2 and 4 o'clock in the morning and identified cars that with expired registrations, and then calling a wrecker at 2 or 4 o'clock in the morning to come and tow the car. That sounds a little heavy.
And it's also inaccurate. We don't tow a vehicle just when we find it. Those vehicles are given a sticker, just like occurred in this case, and they're given 20 days to remove that or abate the problem. And they can have an additional 10 days if they contact us and tell us, hey, we're working on it, we have this issue, blah, blah, blah. So yes, if they, once we put the sticker on there, then if it's after that 20 days or 30 days, whatever they've been allowed, and they don't abate the problem, then yes, the vehicle can be towed.
So you are going up into people's driveways at 2 o'clock in the morning and checking for registrations?
That's not what I said, but yes, we can do that. We can go 24/7. We're a 24/7 department, and so when it gets slow, the guys will drive around in the neighborhoods, and that's what you want them to do because they're in the neighborhoods, they're checking houses, they're finding open doors and windows, and this is a way to get them back into the neighborhood. There's nothing in the law that allows us to say we can only do this between this hour and this hour. or that hour and that hour. There's nothing in any of state law, our laws, anything like that. And it's really, you wouldn't really want to restrict that. Now, I'll tell you what I've told my guys is I really don't like the idea of them going in there and towing it from the yards. I prefer them to pass that on to the next shift during daylight, but I can't stop them from doing that because that's a right they have as a law enforcement officer under the state of Texas. And me trying to tell them they can't do that would be official oppression on my part, no different than if y'all told me how you wanted me to, follow the law that the state has set.
What about special circumstances? Let's say you had a person in the military that got sent to the Middle East, and he parked a car in his parents' house, and he's over there for a year. His plates expired, and he's in a combat zone.
Absolutely.
When he comes back, you can go to motor vehicles and say, hey, I've got an expired plate, and they'll give you a permit so you can actually drive it and get it inspected and then take it down there and get your license plate.
No, yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. If they've got that plate on there, the temporary tag, then they're not going to get anything.
That's when you get back. Let's say he comes back a year later. Let's say his sticker's been expired for 6 months, and he comes back. He goes down to the motor vehicle and gets the certificate so he can legally drive it on the streets, get it inspected, and then go get his plates. So, in that 6 months when he's over fighting the war, you guys could tow his car.
So that's not true. The state of Texas allows for military members to have expired registrations and driver's license. All we would ask and require, since we don't know what the reason the thing is expired, would be that somebody contact us and say, hey, look, this is so-and-so's vehicle. He's off in the military right now, and it's a dead issue at that point.
Thank you.
Great. All right. Thanks for that clarification. All right. Any other questions from our citizens in the chambers? Mr. Diaz, did you want to, since you had requested this item, I'd like to hear from you. And welcome. We're glad you're here.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Abraham Diaz, 6014 Kinman Drive. I want to thank the chief. We sat down last week for about a long time, and we talked about 2 hours, right? We talked for and we went back and forth just like y'all doing here. And he explained everything to me, and it was fully understandable. And to this day, and I even told him, to this day, I still feel that the punishment didn't fit the crime. Okay. But I did find out that somebody did send me some information about that the Supreme Court in February of 20th, 2019, ruled against this. It says, in a historic ruling, the United States Supreme Court this morning held that the excessive fines clause of the Eighth Amendment protects Americans not just against the federal government, but against state and local authorities. No matter what state you live in, every level of government must abide by the federal Constitution, guaranteeing that property owners will be safe from excessive fines and forfeiture. So I would like to see, I know they're doing their job. I just found out this information. I'd like to get some information. Maybe the city attorney can look into it and see if this is something that now supersedes this, because it does talk about a case in Indiana that somebody's Range Rover got taken and they were going to sell it, and it was an excessive fine for what he was caught against. So the article did mention about something about police departments, and I'm not saying about our department, but so police departments using this type of practice to gain funding for their departments. So the Supreme Court ruled against this. So I feel that somebody should look into this because the Supreme Court did rule against it.
Yeah.
May I make?
Okay. Yes, you sure may.
All right. Thank you very much.
She was going to answer your
Mr. Diaz,
concern.
hi. We've known each other a long time.
We have.
So if you could just email me that site, the Supreme Court, you have it, Chief?
No, but I can answer his question.
Okay, I just want to also say this. We can't change anything in our law until the state changes. And so you might want to send that and bring that Supreme Court case, if it's relevant, to the attention of the state legislature, because until they change the state law, we can't change ours. We can, the state legislature they need to be made aware. But I don't even know at this point what the case is saying. I don't, you know.
I'm just
yeah,
bringing it up because it was just brought to me.
I have to read the case to do the analysis, the legal analysis, to figure out what the case turned on. If it turned on something else other than something that has to do with forfeiture or whatever the case may be in this situation, then, you know, you and I can discuss that, and I can talk to you about it.
I just wanted to bring it up, you know.
Yes, Chief.
What he's talking about, there was a ruling on asset seizures where they were stopping vehicles and seizing the vehicles based on money laundering and drugs. And so a lot of states or a lot of small counties and cities were making their whole budget based on sitting on that route on I-10 or 35 or wherever, and stopping vehicles by profiling. And those vehicles would be, if they couldn't prove that why they had the vehicle, why they had the money they had, or even a small amount of drugs, like in this case on the Range Rover or Land Rover, whatever it was, if they couldn't prove that those things were proceeds to the offense, then we shouldn't be seizing them. And so on this case specifically, and I've read it and we've actually had training on it, this case specifically, he was delivering drugs, but he bought the vehicle long before he became a drug dealer. And so they still seized the vehicle as a part of the, it was part to the criminal offense. And so they came back and said, look, he had, I think it was like $25 worth of heroin that he'd deliver, a meth. And yet you're seizing a $60,000 vehicle. But it's not the seizure in the meth that we're seizing it. It is completely different. It's seizure in the fact that we're going to take your car and not give it back to you. So it is different, completely different than what ours is. But I completely understand, you know, the confusion in it when you read it. If you don't understand asset seizure, federal forfeiture laws versus we're talking about an ordinance where a vehicle gets towed. And I can tell you that as far as even if it were, and I'll play devil's advocate, even if it were, our rates are identical to what everybody else, when we did this a year and a half ago, we looked at everybody else's to see if we were within the range that everybody else was in. And so even if it were, they would come back to us and say, okay, you know, if ours was $500 and everybody else was $200, they might come back and say, you have an issue. But when we did ours, we were right in line with what everybody else has been doing, what Bannis has been towing, the fees they were towing, and everybody else. So that wouldn't apply in this circumstances anyway. But we'll get you the thing to Denise, and so that we're all on the same page.
Okay. May I? Also, I promise you, I don't know how long this has been, but if it did apply to this state statute that we're talking about today, I promise you somebody's going to sue for being unconstitutional, and that'll get to the point of it. But I agree with Chief that this case turned on something different than what we're talking about today, based on Chief's brief to us right now. But I will look at the case, and I can give you a call, Mr. Diaz, and we'll talk about it.
So my next thing is I talked to the chief, and they said that I was going to try to make an appointment with Mr. Ray Lopez, our new person, and Mr. I believe Menendez, I think you had on there.
Senator Menendez.
Senator Menendez, to talk to them about having a way of changing this definition, so that way it doesn't affect. Again, I'm biased. I know it was my daughter, but to me, the punishment doesn't fit the crime that was done. So my next step is to talk to the state's legislators. All right?
Okay,
Thank you,
I guess you're going to have to wait till they're out of session, which will be in the next couple of weeks. Yes, sir.
Just the last thing, and I know it was taken out for brevity. We're talking 44 vehicles total out of the 500 or 600 that we've towed this year. Only 44 vehicles have been towed for violation of the city ordinance. I think that was a number. I don't have it directly in front of me. But most months, it is 3 or 4 or 5. We've had some months, the highest was 9, where vehicles were towed. But that's not just for this type of city ordinance. It could be other things, parked in front of a fire hydrant or whatever. So it is a very, very small number. I think it was 7% Of all the tows, I believe, was.
Is this expired?
No, not
junk-
even that.
Okay.
Not even that, just
not even
violation
that.
of city ordinance.
Oh, just violations of the city
Altogether.
ordinance. Okay.
So it's a very, very small number, because most people get it fixed once you make the notification of them. So we sticker a lot more vehicles than that. It's just that most people get it in compliance pretty quick.
Okay, but you always give a warning.
Absolutely.
So you have an opportunity to correct it before.
Absolutely, yes, ma'am, as required by law.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
I just
ma'am.
wanted to reemphasize that.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. Any other questions from, yes, Mr. Blackmore? Good evening and welcome.
Richard Blackmore, Forest Haven. I just wanted to remind everybody, the council, the newest member of the council, what this city was looking like a couple years ago when we had all these junk cars out there. Had boats, never left the driveway for 2 years. Got cars that stayed in parking lots for 3 years. Cars falling apart. They start enforcing this law, and we're going to get a little bit of feedback. I suggest if you don't like it down here, move up to Austin. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's see, we have several people. So, Mr. Riddle, you're up next, and then Mr. Diaz, and then Mr. Johnson. Okay, thank you. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening. Yes, Philip Riddle, Sophie Street. Just wanted to say about the police coming on your property. 2 weeks ago, I heard a banging on my front door, and a police officer, our neighborhood police officer, was out there to tell me on my porch that my garage door was open. And I absolutely have no problem with the police coming up on my property.
Okay.
That is just ridiculous.
Okay, thank you. We're trying to keep it to the junk vehicles, but I know you wanted to give a compliment to Chief. Okay, Mr. Ortiz, good evening and welcome.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes.
Council. So I was here this morning talking to Mayor. Thank you for your time again. And I've been a resident here for 14 years and have not even gotten a moving citation or any breaking of the law of any sort. So when I got this notice of of a vehicle that was parked on my private property, 60 yards from the street, which is a quarter of a football field, just to give you some perspective, I was a little bothered about that because in that state mandate, it doesn't anywhere define private property or public property. To me, it was written more towards vehicles on the street or in public places. But I have a problem with the state telling me what to do with my private property. And if that's the case, that being autocratic as it is, then I'd like for the state to pay a portion of my property taxes so they can tell me what to do with my private property, okay? So I feel very strong. I think that mandate is very loosely written, so it's subjective to however the municipalities want to interpret it. And I think that having me remove a vehicle from my property because the license is expired is ridiculous. Thank you.
All right, thank
Excuse
you for your
me, sir,
comments.
could I get your name?
All right, David Ortiz.
Dave? Thank you.
All right, Mr. Johnson.
William Johnson, Forest Oaks, Canterfield. For the hypothetical presented by Councilman Martinez, the Soldiers and Sailors Civil Relief Act, I don't know what year that was passed, but it's back in the 40s or 50s, specifically protects against situations that he was addressing. I personally have had 2 instances of having to remind police officers of that. I returned to the state of Texas with a vehicle with a 10-year expired registration, but it had not been in the state of Texas for 10 years. I was pulled over in North Texas, and I had to have a very stern argument with the patrol officer and get a supervisor on site, even though I had a card in my wallet, LIDR 9, that said I was exempt and I was only coming back into the state for, I had my leave orders, I was only going to be back in the state for 10 days. You have to be back in the state for 30 days. That's one of the situations that's covered. I was also in California with the same vehicle, and I made an illegal lane change and was pulled over. guilty of that infraction, but they wanted to see my title. Because in California, you have to carry your pink slip in your vehicle. I had to have a very stern argument with the patrol officer and get his supervisor and get the chief of police to correct that situation, because title is not required. It's, matter of fact, it's unwise to carry your title in the state of Texas. So your hypothetical, sir, while a good thought, is fully protected by federal law that was passed back when I was a toddler.
Thank you. I appreciate those
thank
comments.
you for your time.
All right. Very good. Anyone else? All right. So I guess what I hear Mr. Diaz says is he's going to go work with the state legislature to see if he can get that definition changed. So, okay, very good.
And I would like our new councilman, if we can sit down and go over exactly what you're looking at, because I'm kind of handicapped.
Yes, I still stick to the same facts that the state legislature is not going to change, because I believe our law is incorrect. By what you're saying, that would mean Austin, Dallas, Fort Worth, and San Antonio are out of.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I don't even know what you've got in front of you. We've never had a conversation about it, but I really would like to sit down with you and go over it with you so we can come to at least some agree to disagree.
I think that's a great suggestion. So yes, if y'all could get together and just try to see where the differences are, where the likenesses are, that would be great.
Absolutely.
All righty. Thank you. I
Thank you,
appreciate
ma'am.
it. Good.
Thank you,
Good discussion. All right. Moving then to the city manager's report. Ms. Kinsler, good evening and welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Good evening. First of all, congratulations and my best wishes to the newly elected council members, more specifically the brand new ones, Ms. Charles and Mr. Bradshaw. Welcome. And all my best wishes. And a special thank you to Councilor Jordan and Councilor Edwards for their years of public service. I also want to brag on the mayor. Mayor Riley was a speaker at a transportation forum a few weeks ago, along with two other female municipal mayors from other suburban cities. So I wanted to recognize our mayor for being selected for that event. Crystal Caldera received a scholarship from TCMA to go to a really good event, and it got canceled. So she requested that she be allowed to use the funds for the Texas Association of Municipal Information Officers. And not only did they give her a scholarship for her, but they gave her one for the city manager too. And so, yeah.
So where are y'all going?
So I don't even know.
Oh.
Where? Where? Oh, first week of June.
Is this a seminar for information technology?
It's a Thursday and a Friday. And so because this was cheaper than the other class she was going to, they said, we'll give you two. And so anyway, want to thank her for applying that scholarship, and then her being very direct with the lady and saying, that's only half the money. Can the manager use the other half? And they let her. So
Good for you.
That was kind of neat. Yeah. So Leon Valley got two scholarships. Public Works Assistant Director, I don't know if he's here, David Demeline, but he nominated the Evers Road Bridge project for an award from the Texas chapter of the American Public Works Association, and that was for projects between $2 and $3 million, and Leon Valley won. The award is going to be presented to the city June 5th through the 8th at the, I think it's called the Association of Public Works Conference in Austin. We plan on being in attendance to accept the award, and not only we're excited, but we're also honored. This is the first time that this type of project has been submitted for an award, and that bridge was so important to this community.
Well, and what I can't believe it has maintained its integrity. It has not flooded, and that's what I love. We did a great job. So
absolutely.
Well, the Public Works did.
No,
it was
wonderful.
That's exactly what we needed.
Engineering was wonderful all the way to the project finish.
The design is beautiful,
yes,
especially
absolutely.
at night.
Yeah, we get so many compliments on that. And then, of course, I think Melinda said it earlier, but also congratulations for Superior Water Designation City. I guess I don't need to restate this. We were notified by Dan Poza that we're now able to get our bond funds back, which you mentioned, Mayor, which is $79,000 from the Little versus the Leon Valley EDC case. And I've asked Vicki and the city attorney to work on that. And then the 315,000 you'll see in the next report
Great.
because we'll move it, and we've earned interest on it since then. So
Wonderful.
And as Ashley pointed out, interest has been good lately. So for upcoming events, we do have a special meeting set for this Friday at 5:30 p.m. Maribel will make sure that that gets into the e-news, and we'll get it out on social media. I believe it's been posted, right? Okay. Next regular city council meeting is Tuesday, June 4th at 6 o'clock p.m. There's a Scholastic Book Fair at the library, May 21st and 22nd from 10 in the morning to 6 in the evening. The swimming pools are now open. There's also summer reading kickoff, the petting zoo, June 10th from 10:30 to 12 at the library. Recording artist Joe McDermott is going to have a concert at the library June 18th. There will be a July 4th parade at 9:30 in the morning, followed by the July 4th festival at 5 in the evening at Raymond Rimkus Park. Summer reading wrap-up event July 20th at 10:30 is at the library. The next coffee with the mayor and council is Saturday, July 27th from 9 to 11 at the conference center. Soapbox Derby has now been rescheduled to Saturday, October the 12th from 8 to 5 on Evers Road and the community and conference centers. And then the fall coffee with the mayor and council will be October 26th from 9 to 11. Very brief, and with that, I'll stand for questions.
Okay.
And my apologies on not sending the city manager's report out till Monday. I usually do it the week before, but I left town and
Right.
didn't have access. So
That's great. Thank you very much for that. Any questions for our city manager on her report? And for those of you, there is a copy out on the table in the foyer if you'd like to take one home. Okay. Seeing no other questions, we will move then to citizens to be heard. Is there anyone in the chambers that would like to address the council at this time? Please come forward, state your name and where you live, and you have up to 5 minutes. Okay, good evening and welcome. And your name?
My name is David DeWitty.
Yes.
I live at 7122 Lark Song. I've been a resident of Leon Valley for the past 30 plus years. And I've never gotten a ticket until a couple of months ago. And then I received 2 tickets for turning left on the red light.
Oh, yeah.
I went to have a hearing to discuss the matter, which you can have, and that was my second mistake. I had never been talked down to by police in such a belittling, condescending way in my life. And I grew up in Austin 60 years ago in a small town where police had little or no regard for the masses. I believe if I had been stopped by a human officer and not the eye in the sky, I would have been given a warning ticket 3 out of 5 times. There's no sign in either place that tells you right turn on red. Stop, right turn on red after stopping, like there are in other parts of San Antonio. There was no risk to vehicle, resident, pedestrian, cyclists, because there was no one within 20 to 30 yards of my turn. Thank you for listening. This is all I wanted to be is heard in the first place.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. DeWitty. And so note your concern. Okay. Anyone else? Yes. Mr. Yarnell, good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and the winners of the contest. I have an item that I want to bring to the attention on the consent agenda. And I don't know whether I do it now or wait till you get the consent agenda, because I know it sometimes goes pretty fast. Do you vote on it?
I think go ahead and say which one that you'd like to be pulled for discussion. I mean, that's certainly your option.
Okay. At the Citizens to be Heard meeting on the 7th at almost 12 o'clock at night,
Oh, yeah.
the minutes indicate that I stepped forward to the podium to read Council Martinez's statement. And that's not a true statement. So I'd like to.
Okay, so, Ms. Pasley, is there any way that a citizen can get a corrections on the minutes since he was?
You can pull that in the consent. We can talk about it there.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
So we'll do that.
Come back to the consent agenda?
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
and we'll see how you want to handle that. Okay, anyone else? All right. And seeing no one else to speak at Citizens Be Heard, we will move then to announcements by the mayor and council members. And Councilor Charles, would you like to, do you have an announcement?
I want to thank everybody for, I want to see, I haven't learned my lessons up here yet. I want to thank everybody for their support and their votes, and I hope to bring a good working relationship among the councilors and do my best for this job and for the citizens.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Rodriguez.
I just want to tell everyone, thank you for coming, and hope we can get some good work done this year.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Alcacer.
I echo both, and I add to please keep smiling, and please understand that being nice doesn't mean you can't tell someone when they are wrong or when they're incorrect on something. And I think it's continues to be a good way to present nice things instead of talking as if they're gospel. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Okay. Councilor Martinez.
I want to say congratulations to Mr. Charles and David Bradshaw and, of course, Monica for winning the election. And let's look forward to an exciting year. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Bradshaw.
Yeah, I just want to say it's good to be here, and thank you to everybody who supported me, and even those who didn't support me, because I know it was a very close race. So I think David Jordan for his service for the past 4 years, and David Edwards as well. And I'm looking forward to working with the city and representing the citizens.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, yes, my congratulations also to the newly elected councilors, Charles and Bradshaw, and re-election for Councilor Alcacer. And thanks to the service to our two former councilors who just left, David Jordan and David Edwards. Just to follow up, I wanted to thank, we had the recount, and we didn't actually go into it because we do have a consent agenda, but there was no change after the recount last Thursday. And I wanted to just thank the 8-member recount committee for the time and attention to detail. It was very tedious work, but it was a very interesting process. And I want to thank Jackie Callahan and her staff who oversaw the whole process, and also to Sandra Pasale for her help. Anyway, it was very interesting. I didn't realize that you actually have a voter ID number, and you could actually see that voter ID number and who they voted for. And so we were counting it I wasn't, but the 8-member committee was counting it very laboriously. And if there was an error, then they'd redo it again, and it always came out the same as the county election. So it was a very, very good process. Last night we had the Bandera Road planning meeting. This was the first time that we've had this particular meeting. We have a technical group, we have the working group, and now we have the planning group, and they're going to have a business forum as well. So they're starting to break up the Bandera Road concept and trying to get input from all of these other entities. And so this was all of the stakeholders along Bandera Road, and Leon Valley actually had, I think, the majority of the people that were there. We had people from HOAs. Miss Charles was there. I think we had all of our HOAs were represented, our 3. And we had the Historical Society. We had some restaurants that were there. But that's not Leon Valley, right? But YMCA was there, but we had YMCA and then a couple of churches further down. And so it was just a very interesting process. And they truly are trying to get your input on the process. And Chief was there, and you gave some really good input as well. So thank you for that. And I was going to say that we did have one citizen that I met at the April 30th public meeting back up at the church, the city church up there, and she was from Seneca West, and they do not have an HOA, but she asked if she could represent her community on the Bandera Road, and so the TxDOT said fine, and so she was there. So if there's anybody that doesn't have an HOA that you'd like to participate, and would just let me know, and we'll get you on that committee as well. It's going to be quarterly meetings. And so the next meeting will be in about we didn't set it, but it'll be about 3 months. But in June, TxDOT will have a technical meeting. They'll start communicating all of their findings, from their traffic counts to their right-of-ways to their origin and destination. And they just touched on it last night, but we'll try to get you that information. Yes, right. I was going to mention the survey. Did you want to mention the survey? Okay, I was going to say that there is a. That's right. The May 30th is the deadline to submit your survey. And what you do is you go to text.gov or something, and it'll say Bandera Road, and you go there and you go ahead and go through the survey. It's very, very easy. We had before we had the big 600 people who attended the first public meeting on April 29th. Leon Valley had most of the survey responses, and we saw last night that the city of San Antonio, with that turnout, they have 38% of the survey respondents, and I think we were 31 or 33, something like that. So we'd love to hear from you. We pushed the Boulevard concept last night. We need to keep that in the forefront. And I just talked to Henry and Jose, who were here this evening. Henry Deeker, they just got back from Mexico City, and they were just raving about the boulevard that they have in Mexico City. And Kathy Hill was there last night. She also was raving about the Mexico City Boulevard. So we just need to keep that in the forefront, because we don't want to lose that concept. So that. All right, I think that's it. Oh. Anyway, I won't go into it anymore. But anyway, we've got the TxDOT, we've got the City of San Antonio, and I thought you made an excellent question, Donna, about where does Leon Valley fit in this. And so I'm going to contact them and ask them to add our relationship to that slide. So I thought that was a very good question. So what else would you say? Because you were there last night as well.
Well, I kept looking when they said there's 2 projects and they mentioned TxDOT and San Antonio. I said, whoa, just a minute, where does Leon Valley fit in here? Because I haven't heard them being mentioned yet. And so I'm glad that they're going to add us, because I didn't, it's not just San Antonio as a city, it's Leon Valley too. So.
Right, exactly. Okay, well, thank you for your participation. Really appreciate it. All right, with that said, then we will move to the consent agenda, and I have already heard from one of our citizens that we will pull 9.1.A, the regular meetings, so that we can get some input on those minutes. Is there anyone on the council that would like to pull from the consent agenda 9, 2, 3, 4, or 5 for discussion? Okay, seeing no one that would like to pull those for discussion, may I have a motion and a second to approve?
I move that we approve consent agenda 9, 2, 3, 4, and 5 as written.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilor Alcacer and a second by Councilor Rodriguez to approve consent agenda item 9, 2, 3, 4, and 5 as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. Then moving back to consent agenda item number 9.1.A, the regular minutes. Mr. Yarnell, would you please come up and give your input on what you would like the council to consider as a change?
Well, I would like the record corrected to be adequate or straight.
Sure.
What happened?
Okay.
The video indicates this.
Okay, so can you give us the page and
The page,
the line, yeah, which,
I can give you the location on the video.
oh, I'm sorry.
The video
I
of
have
the
a
meeting.
written minutes. Did you see those?
I have it copied here, the citizens to be heard, but I don't have a page number.
Okay.
It's at the very end.
Perhaps I could get with Ms. Sandra.
Oh, it's at the
and we
very
could-
end. Okay.
And we
Mayor,
could work this
Council,
out.
well, Ms. Saunders actually listening to the video, to the audio right now. So
Okay.
she was hoping to be right back in before this started,
Okay.
to help
So-
you out.
Rather than take up everybody's time, you want to do this at another time in the office or something?
I think it could just be corrected by saying he spoke. The citizens to be heard, most of it just said they came and spoke. I think his says just a few words more,
Oh,
but if he
okay.
just spoke.
Olin Yarnell stepped up to the podium to read Counselor Martinez's statement, which you did not do. Oh.
No, I
No,
didn't.
you did not do
I
that,
did
yeah.
not. I
So-
didn't even have his statement.
Yeah, so Olin Yarnell, what, you want to just say Olin Yarnell just stepped up to the podium?
Stepped up to the podium to ask for documents.
Okay.
That was my
All
purpose.
right, to
at the
ask for
beginning.
documents, okay.
The documents I was asking for was a copy of the contract and the information that's been sent to Mr. Henry's office.
Okay.
And I was told that I have to do it by
Okay.
written request, and that I've done.
Okay. So Olin Yarnell stepped up to the podium to ask for documents sent to Mr. Henry's office?
Well, I asked for contact with the Leon Valleys after the completion of the investigation of the official report to the Leon Valley Council. And additional documents or emails between Mr. Henry and any member of the Leon Valley City Council that are related to the investigation of Councilman
She doesn't give
Martinez.
those details.
Okay. All right.
That was what I was asking for.
Okay.
And that's what I asked for in the written request.
Yes, I remember that. I think people thought you were going to read Mr. Martinez's statement, but you didn't. I remember
Some
that
yes,
distinctly.
some
Yeah.
did, and
Mhm, right.
the video shows that I had nothing in front of me.
Right. Okay. So is that a pretty accurate reflection of what happened? I know two counselors on it. Okay, so if we
Sandra
can.
has some input. She usually doesn't put details about everything when she's
Right, I
doing it.
understand that. But if we could just change it simply to that you stepped up to the podium to ask for documents in the process of how to proceed in getting those documents. I remember that.
Yeah, and was
do
told
Would that be
I,
okay?
We can do that.
Okay,
and was told I need to do it in writing, and I've done that.
okay, all right,
Okay.
very good. So if we have a motion to just make that simple correction, that would be good. All right,
I'll make a motion, we correct the minutes as presented.
okay.
A second.
Amended.
All right, we have a motion by Counselor Martinez and a second by Counselor Charles to amend the minutes as presented this evening. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. Thank you, Mr. Yarnell, for bringing that to our attention. Greatly appreciate that. All right, so now we move to ordinance, agenda item number 10. As many of you know, these are our second reads. We've heard the presentations at the last City Council meeting on May the 7th, and so we'll get any updated information right now, and we will have council action on ordinance number 10, 1, 2, and 3. So I'll ask Ms. Pasolé, would you please read ordinance 10.1?
An ordinance of the City of Leon Valley, Texas City Council accepting the lowest responsive bid and awarding a contract in the amount of $45,302.50 to the Pavestone Company for the purpose of purchasing pavers for the Shadow Mist Park parking lot project, providing repealer, severability, and savings clauses, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Melinda, and again, congratulations on your award for the Evers Road Bridge. That's awesome. Do you have any updates to the paver issue? Okay. All right. Any questions from the council? All right. What is the pleasure?
We approve ordinance 10.1 as presented.
I'll second that.
All right. We have a motion by Councilor Alcacer and a second by Councilor Martinez to approve ordinance number 10.1 with the pavers as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does pass. Thank you. Then moving then to ordinance number 10.2. Ms. Pasolé, if you'll read that ordinance, please.
An ordinance of the City of Leon Valley, Texas City Council granting a variance to the Leon Valley Code of Ordinances, Article 1.09, Parks and Recreation, Section 1.09.008, Park Usage Regulations, subsection B and G, to allow the Alamo Hobby Shop to use a portion of the, sorry, I guess I stopped there too much. Alamo Hobby Shop to use a portion of the ridge at Leon Valley Park for the purpose of holding radio-controlled toy vehicle activities and events, providing for repealer, severability, and savings clauses, and providing for an effective date.
All right. Very good. Any update on this particular ordinance?
Nope, it's as it stands, but the applicant is here if y'all had any further questions. for
Okay,
him.
so when we pass this evening, then he can start
Yes, ma'am.
like tomorrow?
Yes,
If he
ma'am.
wanted to. Okay, very good. Well, thank you. And I think he was going to give us some updates in the future, right?
Yes,
All
at
right.
the 6-month mark, I believe.
Very good. Thank you. Appreciate that.
I'll be happy to move that we approve 10.2 as presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Counselor Alcacer and a second by Counselor Rodriguez to approve ordinance number 10.2. Any further discussion? Yes,
One
Counselor
question.
Martinez.
Isn't it, it has to be published before this ordinance goes into effect?
That would be a Sandra question.
According to the charter, it's the day after it's published.
Okay, when that is published
Friday.
in a regular newspaper?
It's Friday in the Helotes Echo.
Okay.
Or the Echo, sorry.
So it actually has to wait a couple of days is what I think I hear you say. Okay.
I send it tomorrow, and it's published Friday, so according to the charter, it's the day after, which
Which
would
is
be Saturday.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 10.2. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. Thank you all very much. Moving then to 10.3. Ms. Pesley, if you'll please read that ordinance.
An ordinance of the City of Leon Valley, Texas City Council amending enterprise fund budget of the City of Leon Valley, Texas municipal budget for fiscal year 2018-2019 in the amount of $2,500 to provide funding for water conservation, rain barrel, and zero-scape rebate programs, providing for repealer, severability, and savings clauses, and an effective date.
And good evening, Yvonne. Welcome back. Just a question. How are we going to publicize this? Did we already talk about that last time? Are we going to put it
We
in
may
the
have touched on it, but we'll go
e-news?
ahead and put a brochure together, put
Oh,
it in
okay.
the water bills,
Okay.
put it on the Facebook and any social media, just to get it all out there once we get it all put together.
Right. $2,500 isn't a lot of money, but it's a good start.
It's a
So
start, and
thank
that's
you.
what we wanted to do to kind of
All
see
right.
what the.
Very good. The interest is.
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent. All right. Any other questions? All right.
I motion to approve.
Okay. And do I have a second? Okay, we have a motion by Counselor Charles and a second by Counselor Alcacer to approve ordinance number 10.3, the rain barrels from the enterprise fund and zero-scape rebates. All those, yes,
I
further
have a
discussion?
clarification
Yes.
question. It applies only to rain barrels and zero-scape after it goes into effect, that are purchased or made after it goes into effect?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
And only the Leon Valley water customers?
Correct.
No SAWS
No,
customers?
SAWS has
Right.
their own
Right.
rebates that they provide.
All right. So, thank you for that clarification. Did you have another? Oh, yes, Ms. Martinez. We've got further discussion, so please come to the podium, and thank you for pointing that out to me.
Pat Martinez, Leon Valley. I understood last time it's also for energy efficient appliances.
We have always had a washing machine rebate, so anything from the fiscal year, it does.
From last year?
You said, I think it was October, I think that's what
Yeah,
you said, so yes.
around November,
Mhm,
yeah.
So if you want to just give me a call and we can look at it and see if it qualifies, if it's Energy Star rated, and we
It
can
should
get you a
be.
credit.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
You're welcome.
So, just to clarify that it's broader.
Yes.
Yes, you
Yes.
have other rebates besides this, but this is new. These are
This
the
is
two
new,
new ones.
yes,
Yes.
that is new,
Okay.
correct.
Very good. All right. Any other discussion on this agenda item? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. Thank you so much. Really appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
All right. Then moving to the regular agenda item number 11, discussion and possible action on the election of a mayor pro tem. Ms. Posley, did you have something in particular on this one, or do we just open it up for discussion?
Just open it up for
Okay,
discussion.
very good. Those of you that, y'all probably know Mayor Pro Tem, if I can't be either at a regular meeting or a lot of ceremonial, I know Mayor Pro Tem Alcacer helped this last year, and there's just we've got a lot of requests to go to churches and military bases and you name it, and so can't go to everything, and so the Mayor Pro Tem, if they can substitute in, that would be great. So that's the general purpose of the Mayor Pro Tem. So, yes.
I'd like to nominate Monica Alcacer to remain as Mayor Pro Tem.
Oh, okay.
I second.
All right. We have a motion by Counselor Rodriguez and a second by Counselor Charles to renominate Monica Alcacer as Mayor Pro Tem for another year. Any further discussion?
I think it should be spread around. Hey, let somebody do it for 1 year and then move it to somebody else.
Okay. All right, so.
Everybody should have a chance, at the job.
I understand. We do have a motion and a second on the table, so we'll go ahead and vote on it and see if it passes. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
All right, the motion, okay, so the motion passes 3-2. All right, very good. So Ms. Alcacer will remain as Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you. All right. Then moving then to agenda item number 12, citizens to be heard. Is there anyone in our chambers that would like to address the council? Please come forward and state your name and where you live.
Cassie Rouse. I live in Grass Valley.
Okay.
I just had a question about interns. I've noticed there are a couple of departments that feel slightly overburdened, and it kind of prevents the work from moving forward at a rate that possibly citizens and business people would wish it would. And I was just wondering if you guys had ever thought about getting interns, if that's something you can do.
Ms. Kinsler can certainly address that. We've talked about that already.
We have interns. We have them this summer. We have them from St. Mary's and from UTSA. We've had them every year since I've been here.
But just in the summer?
No, we've had them in the spring as well.
Okay.
This Public Works has one right now. Community Development has one right now. Mr. Bradshaw Will. Mr. Cox, Mr. Cox has got one. Who am I missing? Is that it?
That's it.
That's it. So we have some interns, but we're always open for more interns. Ms. Pasolay could really use a good intern to go over contracts. She's got a contract inventory issue she needs to address, and she works all the time. She doesn't have the hours to do it. So we always have room. We just have to fit the right people in the right places.
Awesome. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. And do you go to, what school do you go to? Oh, you're asking for somebody else. Okay, so like if it's UTSA, you have to go, or many of the schools, you have to go through their coordinator so that they can approve me to be the supervisor.
Mm-hmm. And I just gave you a card from somebody from Trinity that was looking to place some interns. So it's definitely very popular to get that training. And are those paid positions or unpaid?
Usually unpaid.
Unpaid.
We have had a few paid positions, one from the law school, one from St. Mary's Law School.
All right, very good. Thank you. All right, anyone else like to address the council? Please come forward. Yes, welcome
Blackmore,
back.
Forest Haven. I want to know, are we going to have a special council meeting Thursday?
It is now Friday, May 24th at 5:30 here in the chambers.
Are we going to continue looking for witches, or are we going to end this mess we have here in
The agenda item for Friday is the second read that we started on May 7th for the protocols.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what's on the agenda. Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, well, my. I told my husband we'll be home about 9:30, so I'm really, if there's no further objection, we move to adjourn at 6 minutes after 8. And thank you all very much, and we'll see you on Friday evening. Thank you.
No.
says, definitions and applicability. A, this is subchapter, junk vehicle needs. So this is the definition part, a vehicle that is self-propelled and is wrecked, dismantled, partially dismantled, or discarded. Things that looks like vehicles falling apart, taken apart, and or be inoperable, and if they're made inoperable for more than 72 consecutive hours on public property or 30 days on private property. So that's the only thing where maybe is it inoperable because the registration is expired? To me, inoperable means that it's not working, or it's not moving. You know, everybody knows when a vehicle sitting there, like Mr. Blackmore was saying, a vehicle sitting there for 10 years on the property, it's obviously inoperable. It's not being operated, right? That's the definition part. And then applicability, it says for purpose of the subchapter, junk vehicle includes motor vehicle, aircraft, or watercraft. This subchapter applies, again, applicability only to motor vehicles that display an expired license plate or does not display a license plate. So, to me, you need both of these, the definition and does it apply to. You can't just tow a vehicle because it's an expired. That's what I was reading on here. Yeah, I know it was confusing. It was confusing to me too. When I first read it, I'm like, wait a minute.
See something in writing.
Right, and well, that's why I tried to get it pulled up, but it was so small. How are you? But I was just explaining to you the definition and applicability. It says
So is Abraham.
I'm glad. For this many days, and then applicability says purpose of subchapter for people includes motor vehicle aircraft watercraft. The subchapter applies only to motor vehicles that expire license plate. It does not display license aircraft or watercraft, same thing. So I was trying to think through what's the reasoning behind it. Why would, if a vehicle's wrecked, right, and it's on your property, to me, they could come and take